All right, everybody, we're back with another division preview. This time we are doing the American division, and I know it's the Kimmish's favorite division because this is the division that he picks on the most, but we're still the best. But I'll just put that out there. Actually, if you look over my shoulder right here, I have the blurred out American flag just representing for us. And in last place in the American division, I think we both have Chris and No More. I actually have Chris and No More before his Mike Evans trade, so that put that out there. Him going 5-7. I think the Mike Evans trade drops him down to 2-11, 3-10, something along those lines. I think he gets squeezed out 1 or 2 wins, maybe 3 at best. But I mean, there's nothing else really to say about this. He's really at the lower end of the division right now, and that's not no fault of his own. I think Robert kind of put him in that division, so in that place. So we can't really talk too badly about Chris and No More this year.
Yeah, you know what? I got Chris and No More going 1-12, and I got him playing BC Lions in Week 14 for a survival game. And a lot of it comes down to, I believe it was True North that said, you know what, Chris and No More, part of his issue sometimes is he just trades a lot. And he traded me ETN, which I thought was a mistake. It was his only running back on the roster. Then he turns around, trades Mike Evans right away, which was one of his better players. And then the draft grade is an instant F. He went Isaiah Spiller, pick 3, with Damian Pierce going off the board right after Cook and all those wide receivers still available. I mean, Brian Robinson would have been better at 3. Isaiah Spiller, I heard, also got an ankle injury yesterday. So his value is right in the toilet for 3rd pick overall. I thought that was just, absurd. The other thing that I saw was a big mistake as well. Gerald Everett, he went at tight end before a guy like Austin Hooper, who I heard is lighting it up in camp. So No More. Tough entry here, or intro, I should say, into the LOC coming from Tier 2 after all those years.
Yeah, in defense of No More, anybody who gets an F, the only person who can get an F is auto draft people in my book. So with that said, I gave him a D plus. And I think you hit the nail on the head. Spiller at 103. If his heart was set on Spiller, it doesn't make sense to me to trade Etienne to go up to 103 to draft a guy who even this year, probably even next year, is RB2 on his team. If his heart was really set on Spiller, he should have taken Drake London. And then he could probably still got Spiller at 106. He could probably move back to like 110, 112 and got Spiller there as well. I just don't get it, guys. Like I don't understand. It was perplexing at the time, and I'm still perplexed. And next up, I have the wonderful Architect going in 4th, and you have BC Lions. I'm going to start out on this one. The reason I have the Architect going, I have him going, I believe, 8-5. Let me actually verify my notes before I start with my wonderful rant on this one. I have him going 7-6. He plays the hardest, in my opinion, first 3 games of anybody. He plays myself. In the last 2 years, he's played myself in week 1. I've beaten him because my team has overachieved. He plays Deuce week 2. He plays myself again week 3. And I have a better regular season record against him. And somehow my team decides they want to win against him. And then I have him going the next 4 games, winning, losing to Deuce, winning, and then he plays your wife, Susie, and then where most of the team's on a bye. And then he plays Bare Naked Ladies where he also has some players on the bye, where Bare Naked Ladies has nobody on the bye. He has a hard schedule, in my opinion. And if he can win 1 or 2 of those games, he can definitely take 2nd and move from 4th. Like, I gave him an A in this draft. Like, he has a great team. He just has a hard ass record.
Yeah, I mean, let's face it, everybody in your guys' division has a tough schedule. I mean, the international is no joke either. I got BNL at 6-7. I got him going under 500. His draft grade, I'm giving him a D. And here's why. I thought Schultz's pick was good and Lance also a good pick, but here's where the mistake starts. Keeping Watson and then having to go Lance in the first round, carrying 2 QBs is a mistake. We know this. The next pick for him, Ronald Jones, in round 3, absolute fail. Like, this guy's getting cut. And then he also went Kyle Hamilton fairly early, which again, if you've been reading the reports, Kyle Hamilton's been struggling in camp. So to me, BNL failed this draft. I mean, he's got Kelsey and Schultz as the two tight end stack. I think that'll help him throughout the year. But I think carrying the two QB is a mistake and going Ronald Jones early to be that running back for him, and he's in the starting running back hole for him. Big mistake, and that's why he's going 6 and 7 and under 500.
Those are fair points because as we'll see when we get to the next one, I have myself going Bare Naked Ladies at third, and you have myself going third. The reason I have Bare Naked Ladies at third, and that's kind of, you definitely hit the nail on the head in my opinion there. I'm just trying to find him real quick on the. He Schultz over Lance, over Aguilar, over Burks, over Wilson, and then Gage over the following 7 wide receivers were taken besides Julio. Like I gave him a C- as well. I believe that's what you said you gave him. And then he took Ronald Jones. Like I don't even know if he's gonna be RB4 on that team. Like he's a cut candidate. Like going in. Yeah, I gave him a C- in the draft, but I think he can pull out a few wins. Like there was a couple of his picks or a couple of his games where I literally just flipped the coin. If it landed on heads, it was for him. If it was on tails, it was for the other team. And I have him going 8 and 5 with that strategy. But 3 of those games were coin flips. Like to me, they're just so close to call that he can go 8 and 5 or 5 and 8. So it's gonna be a tough one for him. And he better hope the coin lands on his side.
Yeah, I got you going third, Cole, and here's why. I mean, I actually had you going 7 and 6 before No More made that trade, and then it caused BNL to beat you in a game for me, and I have you going 6 and 7. Part of the reason why I have you going 6 and 7, I'm a bit worried about your flex spots, to be honest. I think Amari Rogers is questionable at best in the flex. When I look at your draft, I give you a B. I thought you did pretty good. Going Rashad White with all the great wide receiver talent that was there right after, I thought was a bit of a mistake. You did get Dotson later on in the draft, but you did pick him before Romeo Dobbs. So that one's going to definitely be graded. I thought the Ertz pick was a great pick after Brian made a mistake going Noah Fant. And I also like the fact that you plucked Matt Ryan at quarterback before Susie picked the quarterback, which forced her to go with turnover machine Jameis Winston. So I thought that was a pretty good pick as well. But I just don't think you have enough power in the horses at IDP and the flex. And that's usually the biggest, grade or how well a team's going to do in the LOC is those 2 spots. And so I got you going 6 and 7.
I just want to put it out there. I did finish second last year in the whole LC with horrible IDP. And next up, you have the Architect, and then I have myself going second because we all know, obviously, who is going first. And I'll pass it over to you first.
Yeah, I gave the Architect an A+ on the draft. I think he had the best draft in the entire LOC. I got him going 8 and 5 though. Part of that is just a tough schedule. When you're playing the American division twice, it's like you said earlier, really tough schedule. But when I look at the draft, Drake London at 5 fell to him. Robinson at the end of round 1, great pick. They're getting an RB1. Burks and Garrett Wilson were the picks right before. Those were 2 dreadful picks, I thought. Jameson Williams in round 2, absolute gold for a future for next year. Trevor Lawrence getting him when he did, another outstanding pick. And then Isaiah Pacheco in round 4 after Robbie Anderson and Kenny G were just picked, were absolute gold as well. Best draft in the LOC, Brandon and the Architect this year.
I agree with you there. Brandon had a great draft. The only reason I didn't give him an A+, I only gave out 1 A+, and that was to Deuce, who we're going to talk about next, just because he had so many more damn picks in the top 5 rounds. The reason I have myself going 9 and 4, but to me, it all comes down to those first 2 games against me and the Architect. And honestly, like I said, I can go 9 and 4, or I can go 7 and 6. If I beat the Architect those 2 games, I could win. And I'll be honest with you, I have myself losing against Susie. I didn't even look who was playing. She could have all her team on a bye. I'd probably still lose to Susie. It's just the way my team goes. I gave myself, actually, where the hell am I on this one? I gave myself a B actually as well. I mean, I liked my Shakir pick later in the draft. When I looked at I'm gonna play outside looking in on this one for my team. every year I feel like Fallen Misfits has Matt Ryan on his team, and every year that I complain that Matt Ryan sucks, but how somehow I have always have Matt Ryan on my damn team. And then the one pick that I didn't like in myself, if I would go back and change, it was the Pierre Strong pick. I did not like it. I made it at the time. I would go back and change it in a heartbeat. But yeah, I gave myself a B, and I had myself going 9-4, and I am finishing seventh going into the playoff. I actually have I have Bare Naked Ladies finishing eighth going into the playoffs. And next up, we have the one and only Goose Bombers. I mean, everybody knows this team stacks. He has so many damn picks in the first round. I have him going undefeated. I don't know if you have him losing a game, but what else more can we say about Ryan and Goose Bombers here?
Yeah, I got him go running the table as well. 13-0. I went through the schedule. I can't see a single loss on the schedule. In terms of the draft, though, I gave him a B minus. I mean, Breece Hall, everybody knew you had to go Breece Hall. My opinion, Garrett Wilson's going to have a down year. I already said he's probably going to catch 20 to 25 balls. Everybody laughed at me. He's the fourth on the depth chart there behind Braxton Berrios. I thought that was a bad pick before Robinson, Thielen, and Kirk were still on the board. Hopkins in round 2, I thought was absolute gold pick. Deuce has the lineup to get Hopkins and get him in obviously week 7 and make a big difference. Cole Kmet was another good pick, I thought. Hunter Henry was a bit of a mediocre pick for me. And Kenny G before Isaiah Pacheco and Marvin Jones and Devontae Parker, I thought was a really bad pick as well. But going linebackers early was a smart strategy for Deuce. And for anybody that has that kind of capital, you want to make sure you get the top 5-6 linebackers right off the bat. And that's exactly what he did. And I think he's the shoe-in for league champion.
Yeah, so I actually looked at those picks differently. I mean, Garrett Wilson falling to 119, you have to make that pick. That's a gimme pick. That's gold in my pocket. And then you have, Hopkins going at 2-6. He's out for the first 6 games, but then he comes back and you got a stud wide receiver. I mean, you could maybe make the point that Lazard was still there, that he's probably RB1 for Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, you're nitpicking at that point. I mean, A+. He has so many damn picks. I mean, what more can you really say on that besides good job and enjoy your championship?
Here's my take. Garrett Wilson, right? So we've already heard that he's not running in 3 wide receiver sets. You pick him before Adam Thielen, who I heard is in 2017, 2018 form. I mean, Thielen's probably going to catch 80, 85 balls. I mean, to have Thielen in your lineup versus Garrett Wilson, you may not have had to trade for Mike Evans. So, Deuce has a winner here. There's no doubt about it. And I am nitpicking a bit, but at the same time, I think he could have did better and even made it even more clear that he was the runaway champion this year, even though I still think he is.
Or look at it this way. You brought up Adam Thielen. What if they're just hyping him up to trade him and they can get KJ Osborne into that 2-hole?
Maybe, but Thielen's from Minnesota. I just don't see it. I think Thielen's a Viking for life, and he wants to end his career there, I feel. You could be right, but I think he's coming back, and I think Minnesota's offense is going to be one of those under-the-radar offenses nobody's talking about, where guys like Justin Jefferson, Cousins, those kind of guys are going to get some big points this year.
That we both can agree on.